Can you let us talk about what actually caused a death in the revival?
Every revival will definitely have a beginning and have an ending.
If the person that the Lord used to pioneer a revival dies, does the revival die with them?
And that is why when God is using you, start to have wisdom from God on how to stabilize it.
There are so many people who have died. Don't join the queue. Good day, good morning, afternoon, wherever you are in the part of the world. My name is Pukwala Odele Oluwatimileyin. I have a guest with me, actually, who we will be looking at a very powerful topic together. And we want to explore a few things about United Kingdom. I have with me Isaiah Osatuyi, who we will be doing business together very briefly. And I believe it will be a blessing to you. You're welcome.
Hello, everyone. It's a privilege to be here again today. Just like he has said, we have been together for a long time, about maybe 6-7 years now, I guess.
Yeah. Thank you very much that we called you and you came.
I will always be here if you call. It's certain.
Thank you very much. We want to explore together in this podcast very briefly the topic, the hope of revival in the United Kingdom.
Okay.
You know, if you look at the United Kingdom at this current state, literally you would think, looking at the depth of decadence in the country at the moment, you would think that there is no hope for revival again. It cannot happen. I've actually seen people say something similar with what we are saying. It can't happen. Before we go to what do you think about what the hope is, do you know, I want you to talk about what Britain was like.
Okay. I watched a comedy recently about Indian and the United Kingdom. He said he was using this accent of Brit and Asian accent. He said, "Oh, we have come here from the Queen to make this place one of our territories." And the person said, "Who is the Queen?" He said, "From Great Britain." And the person asked, "Who called you great? Who gave you that name?" Then the person said, "We call ourselves Great Britain." So the person said, "So that must be, that must not be real. You don't call yourself great. People must see you and say, oh, you are great." So what I'm trying to say there is that Great Britain was once great in government, spiritually, financially, and societally. So when we look back, let's take, for example, spiritual context. Most of the fathers of faith hailed up from the United Kingdom. The Great Revival, we know of Azusa Revival that happened in the US, but look at the Welsh Revival, how it bloomed the world, how it replicated itself in all the nations of the world. We know that the forefather of Christendom in Nigeria are British. So for we to know the extent of how the fathers of it have walked on this land. So if you look at the Wesley family, hailed from the United Kingdom. So what I'm trying to say here is that the British society or the British community has raised a lot of fathers that became fathers to nations.
Thank you very much for that awesome one. One of the things I want to ask again is this. Now we have an understanding of what it looks like. That means greeting was great. Now, we know that it is actually conspicuous. We can see it's glaring well enough that there had been a serious depreciation in everything, financially, spirituality, a lot of everything. Now, looking at this, can you let us talk about what actually caused a death in the revival, a decline in the revival in Great Britain?
You know, revival is putting back to life what is dead or what is dying. But I would like to say that revival is not revival until it affects the secular setting. So when people on the streets could see the effect of the Holy Spirit even in their lives now be converted. There's no revival without conversion and remission of sin of people. Every revival will definitely have a beginning and have an ending. So the ending may be insidious, may be very maybe very gradual instead, but every revival is going to end. Just like you want to do CPR for a resident or for a patient, you don't keep doing that CPR. That resuscitation method is like revival method. When the resident starts, or the patient or the person starts to have normal breathing, normal respiration, normal pulse, you stop. So is revival. However, the decline of that revival should be tied to something, because we people, or we human, we want to have that continuous action to be going on. It's not possible. Let's take example in the scriptures. Ezra, he came up and revived the people. That when people become enlightened, revived, the revival will fizzle away. However, we should be in the position that revival did not die because of our ignorance. There are several things that can cause decline in the revival. One is ignorance of the person that pioneered that revival. Just like the Welsh revival, which I love so much. Evan Robert, one of the things that happened to him was that he did not take good care of his body. So it crashed and it did not come back.
I think that is actually communicating a very powerful message. That anyone that pioneered, that God used to start a revival, to commence a thing, it is important that they must have an understanding that they are still human. No matter how much revival that came through you, your human part is still valid. So it's important we look after our physical being that carries the spirit, that can keep, fueling the revival.
That's the point.
Absolutely.
So I think you first a good point, not being hyper in our mind, because it's a killer. It's a big killer. It has killed vision. Some people would have lived so long. So I think it is just an insight to us today that regardless of how mighty God is using us, how magnanimous the vision is, rest. We should see these things and don't die young. However, I just want to balance it.
Because I think sorry to cut you short, just came into my mind a question now. If the person that the Lord used to pioneer a revival dies, does the revival die with them?
Now, and that comes to administration. Administration is a power. I know there's one of the word for power that is for administration. If you look at Moses is more of administration. So when we are unable to administrate properly, that revival dies. And that is why when God is using you, start to have wisdom from God on how to stabilize it. However, don't idolize it. That's the point. So when God is using you to bring something on board, start to seek wisdom from God and those who have passed ahead of you, how to sustain it. Because if care is not taken, that thing is going to die off. You raise people, and that's just it. You raise people. Administration is about utilizing people to sustain something, to achieve your goal. So see it beyond you and recruit people into you, imbibe them into the vision and let them see it so that they would also run with it even when you
I had an impression in my heart a couple of years back when I came into United Kingdom, and one of the things that came to my heart was that one of the fathers in the United Kingdom, they left their country when a level of revival had happened in their country, and they saw the decadence happening in Africa, and they pushed themselves down to Africa, left their children here, and that means they went to chase and deal with certain devils in Africa. They were actually successful because they brought gospel, but they left their children behind, and the devil came to settle with their children and scattered a lot of things. That was how for me, I was just thinking, how true is that?
That's one of the things. I think I would also add to it that if we focus on our generation alone, the next generation are being pursued by another beast. And that is why currently in the UK, I was reading a book written in 2006. We just came into the UK. We thought that all we are experiencing now just started a few years ago. They started a long time ago. When this man was writing, he's a priest. He was writing as far back as 2006. He was writing as if those things were just happening. So that tells us that the death of Christianity, don't let me use the word death, the the insomnia of Christianity in the UK is not a sudden matter. It is I would say it's a group or a cluster of problems. Just like you said, not focusing on the young generation. But when you go on the internet, there are some people who are bombarding money into polluting the young ones. So when we fail to focus on the younger ones, revival is going to die.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for that one. The last question I want to ask. Now we understand that there is a problem on the ground.
Yeah.
There is a serious issue that need addressing.
Yeah.
So what exactly, first of all, what is the hope?
The hope
of revival in the United Kingdom. Will it happen?
Yeah.
How will it happen?
I believe with all my heart, revival is going to happen in the UK. And the revival that is going to happen in the UK is not the African revival. I think we need to know that. A few days ago, my dad called me and said, "Oh, how was your revival in the UK?" I was like, "Revival in the UK?" He thought that, back then in CAC, we used to have a crusade and we clap, sing.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, that's not the revival I'm talking about on my podcast." So, the revival that is going to happen in the UK is true. It's going to happen.
Oh, yes.
God has preserved seed among the bread that is going to be used for this revival.
Oh, yes.
Don't think that because you're an African, you have fire, that you will be the one. You may not be, but I believe that God has sent us here to preserve, to nurture that seed. There was a day God was having a deep talk with me. I believe that must be the angel over the UK that was communicating with me that day. Because I was asking questions about the US. He said, "No, all I know is the UK."
Yeah.
So God said, "The death of this church is known to me." I was like, "Really?" He said, "Yes, that he knows to it, that there was corruption and I needed it to die without holding back. That if it did not die and you come to this country at this age, what you will meet will be more polluted than what should have been resuscitated." Like, wow. He said, just like in the days of Noah, the corruption was not what he could repair. He needed them to die and preserve the living seed.
Remnant.
And that was why Noah was called a righteous man. Being right there is not a matter of being pleasing the Lord per se, but his gene is still pure, not being diluted with what was recorded in the book of Genesis chapter 6.
Yeah.
So there is hope, and I believe it. So what God has brought us here to do is this, to preserve it. And how do we preserve it? When I've been a farmer all my life, when I was in Nigeria, when you did not clear the weed, they overtake the seed. And when they overtake the original plant, then that plant may not reach its maturity. It choke it. Now, and that's the point. When we die off as Christians in the United Kingdom, things grew. So before that seed could come up again, we who came from outside, we are like workmen.
Oh, yes.
To pull out the weed and make sure that the seed sprouts. And how do we do this? One, to attenuate and destroy the work of the devil. The seed or the original plant that has lost stamina cannot face it.
Do you truly know that people who are seed that have been brought to kill the weed, they are being killed?
Yeah, it's normal. You will definitely have people who are going to die, but we should ensure that we protect our brothers.
Oh, yes.
That they don't die too much, and that is one. Two, some people came not because of this revival. Many of us, we came because we just want to make good things for our family, but we didn't see anything good in God in it. So it is imperative for us to see that as much as possible that we came here in mass, people are still going to die. There are still many Africans of those seed that are still going to become like what they came to revive. It's possible, but that's the prayer. We should pray that we don't become the victim.
I think we should just speak to the people listening that there are so many people who have died. Don't join the queue.
Don't join the queue.
Don't join the queue. Because once you line up and join the queue, we push back the quickness of revival happening.
Yeah.
So I think it is not that God cannot cause revival tomorrow, But we are the vessels that will bring about the revival.
To sustain such a revival, God needs to flush the leadership of Church of England. They are changing their dogma because of what the contemporary society is saying, which should not be so. Church should stand out. So God is going to do a work in Church of England leadership to ensure that there is purity. And that is when, because this is the point, when people come to church, how will they be sustained? So God is going to do a work to sanitize the leadership.
Thank you very much. That's a powerful one. Everyone, we've been able to learn a lot of things, but one thing this podcast had given us hope about is that there is hope for revival in the United Kingdom. Though it may tarry, but it will happen. Just wait for it, because he said something in one of your videos. Even you will not escape it. You won't escape it. You won't escape it. Thank you very much, Mr. Isaiah.
You're welcome.
It's awesome time with you. The Lord bless you powerfully. Thank you everyone for watching.
Thank you.
Bye. See you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.